For Crystal Kenya Limited, Kevin Gachagua Rigathi and Keith Ikino Rigathi. For Aberdare Safari Hotels, there is Robert Gadenji.
Yes.
And Kenneth Waiboshi.
Are those two gentlemen you mentioned first related to the Deputy President?
Indeed, they are his children.
As a matter of fact, Honorable Mutusend will do it in the closing statement. Does our Public Officer Ethics Act or the Leadership and Integrity Act, faced with facts like this, permit the Deputy President to hide behind his sons?
Not at all.
Is he allowed to hide behind any of his relatives?
Not at all.
What about his spouse?
Not at all.
So even if the Senate were to accept, for argument's sake, that this company is run by the sons and whatnot, would that, based on our Public Officer Ethics Act or the other act, which is the leadership, and would that be a valid answer to this unexplained wealth?
Section 35 of the Leadership and Integrity Act.
Please say the volume you're reading.
I'm reading from volume 7 in our bundle of documents at page 34. Acting through others. A state officer contravenes the code if the officer A causes anything to be done through another person that would constitute a contravention of the code if done by the state officer, or allows or directs a person under their supervision or control to do anything that is in contravention of the code.
Mr. Speaker, acting through others is what previously I have called it wasn't me. But let's jump to page 79 of volume 2A.
Yes, we are here.
Again, this is documentation for that same property the Deputy President admits he acquired, right?
Yes, through Aberdare. Just for contextualization, Aberdare owned 2 hotels.
Yes.
There is Treetops Hotel.
Yes.
And there is
which one?
Outspan.
Yes.
Outspan is the one that we have demonstrated how it was purchased. Treetops is a property developed by the Kenya Wildlife Service, but it was under the same management of Aberdare, so they were acquired together.
So let's pause at it is owned by the Kenya Wildlife Service.
Yes.
Is the Kenya Wildlife Service a public or a private entity?
A public entity funded by the taxpayers.
Under our Chapter 6 laws, that is the Public Officer Ethics Act, the Leadership and the Integrity Act, if you want, you can even draw the Public Procurement and Disposal Act, whichever law. Is it consistent with all those laws for the Deputy President of the Republic to acquire without competitive bidding an interest in a resource owned by the Kenya Wildlife Service?
It is not. And in fact, the Deputy President is on record in these proceedings as having said that he advised his family not to transact with government. But we are going to demonstrate that he actually transacted with KWS.
And KWS is a public entity?
And KWS is a public entity.
If this hotel were to be leased or sold, or whatever the language, would there be a requirement for open, competitive, and transparent bidding?
Section 45, which we said we have reasonable grounds to believe that the Deputy President has breached, of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act. And I'm reading volume 7 at page 23, states as follows: protection of public property and revenue. A person is guilty of an offense if the person fraudulently or otherwise unlawfully A, acquires public property or public service or benefit, B, mortgages, charges, or disposes of any public property, C, damages public property including causing a computer or another electronic machinery to perform any function that directly or indirectly results in a loss or adversely affects any public revenue or service, or fails to pay any taxes or any fees, levies, charges payable to any public body, or effects or obtains an exemption, remission, reduction, or abatement from payment of any such taxes, levies, and fees. Section 46, about abuse of office. A person who uses his office to improperly confer a benefit on himself or anyone else is guilty of an offense.
Now, let's go to page 81 of volume 2A, sir. It's still about Treetops Hotel.
Page
81 of volume 2A.
I'm there.
Can you read for us the last sentence of the second paragraph?
This is a letter. This is a letter from the Kenya Wildlife Service.
Yes.
To Mr. Amos KISII of KISII and Wandati Company Advocates.
It's a letter dated when?
The letter is dated
at the top left. What is the date?
5th of June, 2023.
Was His Excellency, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of Kenya on that date?
Yes.
It is addressed to who?
It is addressed to KISII, Wandati and Company Advocates.
In the Deputy President's own response, is that law firm indicated as one of the law firms he uses?
Yes, indeed.
Good. Now read for us the second paragraph of that letter, beginning with the word however.
However, the tenant is in rent arrears of Kenya shillings 35,481,548, and lodge has not been operational since 2019, which has resulted to deterioration of the same in breach of the lease agreement.
So we are being told this hotel a number of things. One, it has not been in operation for 4 years, correct?
Indeed.
And as a result, it has accumulated rent arrears, correct or incorrect?
And deteriorated, which in effect means it requires renovation money.
Now let's go to page 80 where the Deputy President develops interest in the hotel.
I'm here.
Can you read the opening line of that, the first paragraph of that letter?
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Senators, this is a letter from KISII, Wandati and Company Advocates to the Director General of the Kenya Wildlife Service. The opening sentence reads as follows. We act for a party, into brackets our client, who is interested in taking on an assignment of lease of the Treetops Hotel Lodge as defined in the lease agreement dated 31st December 1998 between yourselves and Aberdare Safari Lodges Limited, the lessee.
Please confirm this is a letter by the Deputy President's lawyers.
This is indeed a letter by the Deputy President lawyers, but funny enough, against any all professional knowledge in terms of how you write letters, they do not disclose their client. They just say,
we act for a party. Who is our, does that letter disclose the identity of the client anywhere?
No, it doesn't. And it is a requirement that you must disclose the client even as you move ahead.
Is that how lawyers usually write letters in honest, genuine transactions?
Not at all.
Good. Now let's go.
And I am one of them, so I know.
Let's go to page 83 of volume 2A. What is written there?
Page 83 is a letter to Dr. Kanga, Director General Acting, Kenya Wildlife Service from Aberdare Safari Hotels.
So,
it is about Treetops Lodge debt and lease.
Please hold 83 together with 81. In 81, we are told the hotel has not been in operation for 4 years, and that's why it's in rent arrears, right?
Yes, rent arrears of upwards of 35 million.
And that is on which date?
This is on 5th of June 2023.
And the letter at page 83 is on what date?
It's 7th of July 2023, a month later.
How many days in between, roughly?
Roughly a month, 30 days or so.
Roughly a month. And what does this letter say?
The letter says, I refer to Treetop's rent arrears debt of Kenya shillings 35,481,548.14, and I am pleased to inform you that the Aberdare Safari Hotels Limited has today paid via RTGS bank transfer amount of 34,869,797 to KWS main collection Standard Chartered Bank account, and the amount of 611 to KRIA for 2% withholding tax.
So, Honorable Mutuse, what do you have to tell the Senate of the fact a company that was in arrears for 4 years, 35 million, it is in distress, it's not in operation, the Deputy President shows interest, and suddenly it is able to pay these arrears of that 5 million?
The Deputy President must be magical. Associating with the Deputy President must be very magical, because you have not operated for over 4 years. You are in debt. You have not been able to service that debt for 4 years, but you have just interacted with him for a month, and you pay your debt overnight.
Now, when you see that, sir, is it consistent with the narrative that your allegations are false, ridiculous, and embarrassing?
Not at all. Indeed, our allegations are backed up by cogent evidence, as we have demonstrated.
What is the document at page 85 of volume 2A?
At page 85, this is a letter by Kenya Wildlife Service to a one Ken Waiboshi, who is the managing director of Aberdare Safari Lodges, and it is acknowledgement of funds.
How much money?
We acknowledge, the letter reads as follows in paragraph 2, we acknowledge receipt of Kenya shillings 34,481.
As the Deputy President in his response explained, the mysterious availability of these 35 million shillings when he comes to the picture?
I have not seen anywhere where he explains where this money came from.
Page 87, what is that document?
At page 87.
Oh, volume 2A, Mr. Speaker.
This is novation and assignment of lease agreement and addendum to lease dated 31st December 1998 and 27th July 2023, respectively, between Kenya Wildlife Service, Aberdare Safari Lodges Limited, and Crystal Kenya Limited, the company of interest.
Does this confirm, just like the deputy admitted, that he actually acquired Treetops Hotel?
Indeed, it confirms, and it is not. It has not been contested.
Is your allegation, therefore, Mr. Mutuse, about Treetops, false, ridiculous, and embarrassing?
Come again?
The evidence you just taken the Senate through about Treetops Hotel, is it consistent with the narrative of a move of motion who makes ridiculous, false, and embarrassing claims?
Not at all. It demonstrates that our allegations are not malicious. They are backed.
Let's go to his response in volume 6. It should be page 8, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Speaker. Eight of volume 6.
Yes, there we are. Volume 6. On page.
Okay. Is page 9?
Yes.
At the top of page 9, what does the Deputy President in his response to the National Assembly tell it?
He says, in respect to Crystal Kenya Limited, this company was incorporated in 2009, way before I became Deputy President.
Let's pause there. Is that a valid response to your motion, the date when the company was incorporated?
I am interested in what the company did when Mr. Rigathi Gachagua is Deputy President, and not when the company was incorporated.
Okay, read for us the next line.
I transferred the company to my sons when I became Deputy President.
Is that a valid answer given the things we've just seen about Treetops and Outspan?
It confirms that the sons indeed are acting on his behalf.
Read the next line, please.
It acquired Outspan Hotel and Treetops Hotel following financing by a local bank. I also gave the company a personal loan from funds which were returned to me by the Asset Recovery Agency. I wish to clarify that Treetops Hotel was not bought. It is leased from KWS. The lease was assigned to Crystal Kenya Limited by a private company, Aberdare Safari Hotels Limited. I have annexed the facility letter dated 24th October as well as the company resolution to borrow Kenya shilling 600 million and marked as Annexure RG 14 and Annexure RG 15 respectively.
Let's go to page 44. This relates to the property called Rogoro Kiamariga 1223.
This is in volume 2?
2A. Volume 2A, Mr. Speaker, page 44. Please confirm from the Deputy President's response whether he has admitted acquiring this property.
Yes, he admits acquiring the property, but goes ahead to make some justifications.
Page 44, Mr. Speaker, volume 2A. The justification he makes is to what effect?
Is that the acreage is different.
Yes.
And also that he bought it for 3.5 million and
yes.
not 5 million as alleged.
Now let's go to that page 44. What is that document?
This is a document transferred by personal representative to person on intestacy. Basically.
And who is given that transfer? Who is making it?
A certain Naftali Guandraro Gadhogo.
Can you read the opening line of that document?
Public Trustee of the Republic of Kenya, or PO Box 49672 Nairobi, as personal representatives of Naftali Garandao Gadhogo, deceased, hereby transferred to Hannah Gadhongo Mugo. Absolutely.
Who is the public trustee a public officer?
The public trustee is a public office. Under
what circumstances, to the best of your knowledge, does the public trustee obtain letters of administration of an estate, in this case the estate of the deceased Naftali Gwandaru Gadhogo?
In terms of the law of succession, the public trustee only steps in where there are no beneficiaries of a deceased person's estate.
The person to whom the trustee is transferring, is there a picture given there?
Yes, it is given, and I will invite honorable senators to look at it.
What observation do you want them to make about it?
Well, this is a photograph of, I do not want to say disheveled, old lady who signs by appending her thumb, signifying probably she was not even aware of the transaction.
Has she signed or affixed a thumbprint?
A thumbprint.
On the face of it, does that look like a privileged or vulnerable and marginalized Kenyan?
The very vulnerable.
Mr. Speaker, sir, kindly allow me again to bring to the attention of the Assembly that the advocate is leading the witness. He has put a question. Does that, in your own imagination, look like a vulnerable person?
Objection sustained. Counsel for National Assembly, stop leading the witness.
I'm much guided, Mr. Speaker, so we'll proceed. We're on page?
We are on page 44.
44. Did the Deputy President, in his response, disclose that this property initially belonged to a deceased person?
No.
Did he, in his response, disclose that this property was initially vested on the public trustee?
No, he didn't.
Let's go to his response at paragraph 1.4.2, which is on volume 6, Mr. Speaker. Page 4 of volume 6. Can you read paragraph 1.4.2 of the Deputy President's response?
I purchased the land in the year 2023 for Kenya shillings 3.5 million for my farm proceeds. Some of you are aware that I have dairy farm with close to 200 cows.
Now, let's see who is saying things that are embarrassing, false, and ridiculous. What is the price he has said he acquired it for in that page?
3.5 million Kenya shillings.
Let's go to the agreement he has attached to show how he purchased this property. It is at page 63 of the same volume.
I am here.
Clause number 3, what is given as the purchase price?
The purchase price is Kenya shillings 5 million only, to be paid as follows.
Is that consistent?
This is,
volume
6.
We are holding, Mr. Speaker, volume 6, pages 4 and 63. No, it is page 4 of 534 and page 96 of 534. The problem, Mr. Speaker, is there are two sets of pagination. So the one we refer to is the one that says of 534. So we are talking of page 4 of 534. You hold that together with page 96 of 534. My apologies, Mr. Speaker.
In other words, go to page 4 and page 96 of
534. Of volume 6.
Yes.
We'll shortly take you to the paragraphs.
Mr. Speaker, you know I'm under a lot of pressure because of the time. That's why sometimes. So, are we all there, honorable senators? Good. Can you read again for the Senate on page 4 of 534 what the Deputy President says was the purchase price for this property?
This is land parcel number Guru, Kiamariga, 1223 in Madera East constituency. That is on page 3. And on page 4, the Deputy President says, I purchased the land in 2023 for Kenya shillings 3.5 million for my farm proceeds.
Let's pause it there. He bought it for 3.5 million. Let's go to the document he has annexed to prove that he acquired this property for 3.5 million. It is at page 96 of 534.
Indeed, this is agreement for sale of the whole of LR number title Ruguru Kiamariga 1223, measuring approximately 2.5 acres. And under clause 3, the purchase price is Kenya shillings 5 million to be paid as follows.
Given this inconsistency, sir, is it fair for the Deputy President, when he is lying on his own document, to accuse you of presenting material that is false, ridiculous, and embarrassing?
It is not fair, and also, especially when one of our allegations against the Deputy President is that he consistently misleads the public.
He says that he bought it in the year, back to page 4 of 534, in the year 2023. Was that during his tenure as Deputy President?
Indeed.
He says he has a dairy farm there with 200 cows.
Indeed, he says so.
In his presser on the 7th of October 2024, what did he tell the country was the source of these 200 cows?
If I remember correctly, in the televised address by the Deputy President on that fateful night, he did say that the Kalenjin people of the Rift Valley have gifted him the cows that he keeps in his farm.
Can you now read for us Article 76(1) of the Constitution, what it says about gifts given to public officers?
Article 76, Financial Property of State Officers. 76(1). A gift or donation to a state officer or a public or official on a public or official occasion is a gift or donation to the Republic and shall be delivered to the state unless exempted under an act of Parliament.
Has the Deputy President presented any evidence that he surrendered these gifts to the state?
He says that he has kept them in his farm.
Wouldn't that be an admission by his own public statement of violating Chapter 6.
Indeed, it is an admission and should be treated as such.
Let's go to the land in Meru. Have you placed any evidence to prove this allegation?
I have placed evidence to prove that the Deputy President indeed acquired land in Meru, and to the best of my recollection, he has also admitted in his response to having bought land in Meru.
I now want you to vote volume 8 against, again, the Deputy President's response. Yes. Let's go to, first of all, volume 6, which is the Deputy President's response. What does he say about the Olive Garden Hotel? In summary, it's clause 1.1.1 all the way.
For clarity, Council, so
Yes.
we leave the issue of Meru, we come to
We'll come to it later, don't worry. Let's deal with Olive Garden Hotel for now. Volume 6 of which is the Deputy President's response.
We made an allegation that the Deputy President has bought Olive Garden Hotel through proxies.
Volume 6, page?
Volume 6, page 2 of 534.
2.
Yes, page 2 of 534.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable Senators, in my motion, I made allegations that the Deputy President has bought the Olive Garden Hotel, initially owned by his late brother. And in response, the Deputy President said as follows: the allegation that I own Olive Garden Hotel is false. The truth is that Olive Garden Hotel used to belong to my deceased brother, the late Honorable James Ndiritu Gachagua, and therefore has never been my property. This is information that most of you may be aware of, as it is in the public domain. Upon his demise, my late brother left a will in which, in his recognition that I am an honest man,
We can leave it there. An honest man is written in bold, right?
he appointed me as one of the executors of his estate.
Now, is the DP's response about that Olive Garden, which runs from page 2 to 3, consistent with the affidavit in the National Assembly's volume 8 by Peterson, Jomo, Mushira?
Maybe so that we can point members. On volume 8, we have the affidavit of Mr. Peterson Njomo Mushira. And
Tell us in summary, because we are so pressed for time.
Peterson Njomo Mushira says, I have personal knowledge of one of the issues raised in the special motion for the removal from office by impeachment of Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President. I have personal knowledge of the facts relating to the sale of Olive Garden Hotel, which initially formed part of the estate of the late Ndiritu Gachagua. Given the matter set out in the preceding paragraph, I am competent to swear this affidavit. I decided to swear this affidavit after my attention was drawn to contradictions between the contents of part 1.1 on pages 1-2 of the response that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua filed at the National Assembly on 8th October in opposition to the special motion for his removal. B, remarks made by Honorable Okomas Mwengi Mutusa when prosecuting the motion at the National Assembly, and remarks made by Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah at the National Assembly. Remarks made by members of the Assembly.
Let's go to the next paragraph in the interest of time.
I wish to clarify and state as follows. I am a shareholder and director of TM Civil Engineering Limited, the company referred to in the agreement annexed on pages 10 to 34 of the Deputy President's response to the motion. On around 31st of March 2023, the Deputy President approached and convinced me to purchase the Olive Garden Hotel, which was at the time part of the estate of the late Ndiritu Gachagua.
Let's go to D.
Indeed,
C.
he avers that in
Now
summary...
let's go to C.
No, C. The Deputy President persuaded me to enter into an informal secret arrangement, regarding the transaction embodied in the agreement annexed on page 10 to 34 of his response to the motion. In summary, The terms of the secret agreement were that, 1, the Deputy President would buy the hotel from me by refunding the purchase price of 412 million set out in the agreement annexed on page 10 to 34 of his response. 2, the Deputy President would instruct and pay a contractor to renovate the hotel after the completion of the transaction embodied in the agreement. 3, to protect the Deputy President's undisclosed interest in the hotel, I would appoint Ms. Julian Jahenda as the signatory or agent for the hotel's account at the Cooperative Bank of Kenya. And 4, to further protect the Deputy President's undisclosed interest, Mrs. Juliani Jahenda will run the hotel.
That Ms. Julian Jahenda, is it the same person mentioned in volume 8A on page 1 of 19? Volume 8A.
Yes, this is a letter from the Public Service Commission.
So does that mean we have two sources, one being Jomo Mushira? It is.
We are on volume 8A, page 1 of 19.
And there is an entry there, the third name in that table.
If you look at the names, you have the first one, the second one, and the third one is Maka Juliani Jahenda.
Is that the same?
Who is our Deputy Director in charge of coordination in the presidency at the Office of the Deputy President, working on a local contract.
Who is the author of this document?
The author of this document is the Public Service Commission of Kenya.
Does this document, is it consistent with what Johnson Mushira said in his affidavit about Julian Jahenda?
It shows that Julian Jahenda is a staff and a close associate of the Deputy President, and she's the same person who was seconded to manage his interest at the Olive Garden Hotel.
The acquisition of this hotel through a secret arrangement from the estate of his brother, is it consistent with a honest man as written in bold font in his response?
It is indeed consistent with our allegation that His Excellency the Deputy President raided the estate of his late brother and acquired properties directly and through proxy.
Lastly, from me, so that Mr. Onyema will wrap up, let's go to the Vipingo property that also belonged to the estate of his brother.
And for senators to note, this is another 535 million, 412 million in terms of the purchase and renovations, another extra millions of money, and there is no disclosure as to where the money was coming from.
Now let's go to Vipingo Beach Resort, which again the Deputy President wants to hide under the shadow of his late brother, who is given on page 18 of volume 2A as the directors of Vipingo Beach Resort Limited. Volume 2A, page 18 of 123.
Volume 2A, on page 18, we have annexed Form CR12, dated 27th September 2024, for Vipingo Beach Resort Limited. And the directors are Keith Ikino Rigathi and Kevin Gachagua Rigathi, and the estate of deceased James Nderito Gachagua.
So let's begin with Kevin, who is a son of the Deputy President. Was he an executor of the will that the Deputy President has annexed to his response?
No, the will was to be executed by the Deputy President, Mr. Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, Advocate Njoroge Rogeru, and Mr. Maina. So the children of the Deputy President were not executors of the estate, and therefore cannot be said to be in the directorship of this company by virtue of the will of the late Rigathi Gachagua, because they were not named as executors of his estate.
So is this document on its face consistent with his defense that this hotel belongs to his late brother?
it flies on the face.
But let's see whether he actually acquired it. Let's go to volume 4, page 107 of 484.
I am at volume 4, page 107.
What is that document, sir?
This is a joint will executors report on the status of the estate as at 27th February 2024. This is the estate of the late Rigathi Gachagua.
And what does it tell us about Kuruwitu Home Resort in Roman 3 on that page?
The broad headline is sale of estates assets. And it lists number 1, Queensgate, Olive Garden Hotel, and then Kuruwitu Home Resort.
Yes.
And it says as follows. The resort was sold to Kuruwitu Properties Limited for Kenya shillings 250.
What page is that volume? That's
This
volume
is
4.
Volume 4, Mr. Speaker, page 107 of 484. Volume 4, Mr. Speaker, page...
We can continue?
Yes, proceed.
Kuruwitu Home Resort. The resort was sold to Kuruwitu Properties Limited for Kenya shillings 250 million only.
Let's stop there.
Yes.
Is Kuruwitu Properties Limited, to which this hotel or resort was sold, a company linked to the Deputy President?
Indeed, and we have annexed in our volume 2A.
Yes.
If Honorable Speaker and Senators would go to our volume 2A of our exhibits at page 8. We have volume 2A, page 8. We have annexed the form CR12 in respect of Kuruwitu.
And who are shown as the directors there?
The directors are Vipingo Beach Resort Limited.
But let's also interrogate.
Vipingo Beach Resort Limited, which we have demonstrated that is owned by Honorable Rigathi Gachagua's children.
Back to volume 4, page 111 of 484. Can you read at the top the sentence that begins with, for instance?
This is, we are at page 111. And
of 484, Mr. Speaker, volume 4.
This is still, this is for, so that we, this is still the joint will executors report. And at the top there, at page 111, for instance, the sale of Kuruwitu Beach Resort cottages and Olive Gardens Hotel was done after beneficiaries were appraised in the meeting of 24th June 2023, cited herein before. Significantly, the beneficiaries themselves in their meetings with one of the executors, underline one of the executors, approved the sale of Kuruwitu Home Resort to one of them, underline one of them.
Where is
who is also an executor, underline who is also an executor.
Who is the executor and beneficiary being referred to here?
The only executor and beneficiary of the late Rigathi Gachagua's estate, as named in the will and as named in this joint report, is one Honorable Rigathi Gachagua.
Where is this property located, Honorable Mutuse?
Vipingo Beach?
Yes.
Should be somewhere in the coast.
Back to page 107 of volume 4. In his response, as the Deputy President explained where he got the sum of Kenya shillings 250 million to purchase this property.
In fact, he denies buying the property.
Mr. Speaker, I will cede the floor now to my learned friend, Mr. Wanyama, to prosecute the remaining grounds of the motion.
Mr. Speaker, with your permission, I'll proceed from where My colleague Mdomi has left. Honorable Mutuse, can you go to ground number 2 of your motion?
We'll be there shortly.
I think that's page 10 of volume 1.
Here we are.
Yes, what is the nature of this ground? What are you complaining about?
We are complaining that the Deputy President has on numerous occasions violated Article 147(1), as read together with Article 152(1) of the Constitution of Kenya. And in particular, Article 147(1) provides that the Deputy President shall be the principal assistant of the President and shall deputize for the President in the execution of the President's functions. While Article 152(1) of the Constitution states that the Deputy President is a member of the Cabinet. And in particular, through Cabinet communique, as you are aware, after every time there is a Cabinet meeting, there is normally a press release that is released. And we were aware of a decision of the Cabinet of the 30th of April 2024, where the Cabinet passed a resolution to evacuate members of the public for their own safety from the 30-meter riparian zone of the Nairobi River.
Yes.
And when that decision was made, insofar as I understand processing of business in the Cabinet, the Deputy President sat in Cabinet. The Deputy President is one who chairs Cabinet subcommittees which process business before going to Cabinet. And therefore, to my own understanding, he was fully involved in the making of that decision. However,
okay, just to cut you short because of time, the allegation is that the Deputy President has been undermining the President.
Yes.
Do you have evidence in your motion that support this allegation?
Yes, I have evidence.
Which evidence is this?
The evidence is in respect of the Cabinet resolution regarding the evacuation of the riparian, of the settlers around the riparian area, in that area, and our evidence is contained in the affidavit of Ms. Mercy Wanjau.
Where is this affidavit of Mercy Wanjau?
The affidavit of Mercy Wanjau is to be found on page 78 to 80 of volume 1.
Has the DP admitted these allegations?
Yes, the DP has admitted the allegation to say there was a Cabinet resolution, but he went against it.
Where is the admission contained for purpose of the answer? The admission by the Deputy President?
If you look at paragraphs 10.1.1 and 10.1.3 of the DP's response.
Yeah.
Volume and page.
Volume 6, page 19 of 534. Paragraph 10.1.1, he says as follows. The office of the Deputy President has undertaken extensive engagement with all parties in regard to the Cabinet decision on eviction, which I fully support, including the Nairobi River, which is an entity under the ODP.
Okay. I think we can hold. We can stop there. So, yes. In your opinion, as the mover of the motion, can the government of Kenya function if the Deputy President and the President are not reading from the same page?
It will be very difficult for the government to function and to deliver effectively to the people of Kenya when the two highest office holders are reading from different scripts, and especially when the Deputy President, for political expedience, would disown decisions of the Cabinet in a meeting that he sat through to make a decision.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, have you annexed any videos to prove this allegation?
Yes, indeed.
Video number?
We have annexed video number 10. Video number 10.
Video number 10.
And also video number 10.
What does video number 10, what is it all about?
Maybe they can play it for honorable senators to see for themselves.
Can you play video number 10 briefly? With the speaker.
Watu ya Kayole, tangu mtupatie nafasi ya uongozi, sijapata nafasi ya kuja kusema asanti. Nataka kutoka kwa roho yangu, watu ya Kayole, asanteni sana. Mimi najua nimeona iko shida ya watu ambaye walibomolewa, si ndio?
Maybe you can,
na nimeona mumeandika vizuri
Mr. Speaker, sir, because of time, you're
ya
requesting you
kwamba
play at
mteue kamati ya watu wachache
at
ndio
1
mkuje
minute
niketi na
25.
nyinyi.
1.25
Mtakubaliana?
because of time.
Mimi ningetaka wale watu ambaye walipata shida hii ya ubomoaji, ambaye ni kitu tulikuwa tumeahidi wananchi haitafanyika kwa serikali yetu, mimi ningetaka niwasikize na nitapanga na mheshimiwa Meja Dong wakuje ndio tukue na nafasi ya kuongea.
Let us not have a war with wananchi. Tusipigane na wananchi wale walituchagua. Let us be empathetic. Let us, if people must move, let there be an engagement and let people get adequate notice so that they can prepare for their next life ahead. You can't wake up one morning and terminate people's life. Let us not have a...
Mr. Speaker, sir, we can stop there because of time. The video has been submitted as part of the evidence from the National Assembly. Honorable Mutuse, let's go to ground number, allegation number 3, ground number 3 very quickly. What is it all about? What is your complaint in the Senate? In ground number 3.
Our complaint to the Senate is that the Deputy President has undermined devolution.
Why do you say so, briefly?
We say so because there was a lawful decision by the City County of Nairobi about...
Which is this lawful decision? You can be specific.
The City County of Nairobi did make a resolution,
yes,
to relocate traders from CBD to Kangondo Road. And the Deputy President, through evidence that we have...
Is that decision to relocate traders a county government function?
Yes, and Senate, because it is a house that is created under Article 96 to protect the interests of counties, would take notice that markets under Schedule 4 is an exclusive function of counties.
Yes. Have you submitted any video evidence to support this allegation that the Deputy President has undermined the devolved government system, especially the county government of Nairobi?
Yes, video 12 and video 13, where members of the Senate shortly will see that the Deputy President went to Wakulima Market and incited members of the public not to obey lawful directives of the City County of Nairobi. We have also, as part of our evidence, annexed the sworn affidavit of Mr. Johnson Sakaja, the governor of Nairobi, with averments to that effect. This is at page 81 to 85 of our volume 1.
Okay. I think the video is part of the evidence. It's part of the record. So why do you complain about this in the Senate? Why are you complaining?
The senators want to see the video, want to hear, see and hear the video.
Can we play video 12?
Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja appear headed for yet another round of an influence contest of the capital city, with the Deputy President putting the governor on notice over the alleged mistreatment of traders in the city. And as Citizen TV's Melita Olatengas reports, the latest rupture in the relations between the two have been compounded by the broader tribulations of Gachagua, who sees himself as being sidelined by the Kenya Kwanza State House.
2 years ago, downtown Nairobi, in the thick of the campaign trail, and fast forward to this on Friday. In the same style and fashion, he returned to Marikiti, heightening the standoff with Sakaja over traders' relocation. Gachagua says he made a promise that he holds dear, but the governor seems to be having a different vision for the county.
Mimi siwezi laumiwa ati watu ya mlima ni wengi hapa Marigiti, kwa sababu hiyo ni Mwenyezi Mungu aliamua. Na hao watu ya mlima wanasema walikuwa wengi, wakikupigia kura kwa nini ukulalamika ni wengi?
Nobody should imagine that they can micromanage the county of Nairobi from anywhere. No one should imagine that we will suspend devolution in Nairobi from anywhere.
A stop.
So Honorable Mutuse, is that act by the Deputy President impeachable?
It is impeachable in the sense that the two levels of government have been assigned their roles and their functions under Schedule 4 of the Constitution.
Yes.
And the Constitution and Article 6 requires that the two levels of government, much as they are independent, they also respect their functional independence. And that if the county government makes a decision, it is upon them to implement that decision. You would realize, much as Nairobi is the capital city of Kenya, cosmopolitan, when the Deputy President went there, he addressed Kenyans in his native language.
Is it compatible with the status of Deputy President to address these core issues at a marketplace like this?
It is not consistent. The expectation was that through the intergovernmental relations framework that is already established in law, there would have been a formula to deal with that issue outside the rally.
Which is this framework that you are talking about? The framework that you are talking about for intergovernmental relations, to be specific. Eh?
Well, we have the Intergovernmental Relations Act. And it will be expected that the Deputy President, being the chair of the Intergovernmental Relations Committee and also IBEC, would have exercised his responsibility under the law and those responsibilities to call a meeting with the City County of Nairobi to deliberate on those issues if indeed there were complaints from the citizens of Nairobi in a manner that is consistent with the formal running of a government.
Okay. I think because of time we can move to allegation number 4. Are you there? Just go to your motion, allegation number 4. What is it all about? Explain briefly to the honorable senators. Allegation number 4, I believe it's at page 14 of your motion.
1 minute. Yes, here we are. Now, our ground 4, Mr. Speaker and honorable senators, is gross violation of Article 161 of the Constitution, specifically undermining the institutional and decisional independence of judges.
Hold on, Honorable Mutuse. What do you understand by the word gross? You're using it in a context, and I think it is important you explain briefly. What do you understand by the meaning of the word gross?
My understanding of gross violation of the Constitution, I don't know whether I will be speaking in my knowledge as a lawyer or just as a...
Just give your opinion. What is gross? It goes into the answer there.
I think gross violation of the Constitution, the best would be found in the Wambora decision.
Okay.
The Wambora decision did define what gross violation of the Constitution means.
Yes.
And it is said it is the violation of Article 10, Article 1, and several articles of the Constitution. I do not have the particular citation, but to my mind, I think it's paragraph 46 of that decision.
Okay. So let's go back to allegation number 4, ground number 4. What is it that you're complaining about in this ground? In summary?
We are complaining that the Deputy President did threaten in a manner that displayed personal vendetta the person of Esther Maina, a judge of the High Court of Kenya, and the reason for threatening her with filing a motion, a petition for a removal from office, was particularly in relation to a decision that she made in a case that was involving the Deputy President by finding that assets to the tune of cash 202 million that were held in his company's accounts were proceeds of corruption and money laundering. And for making that decision, the Deputy President against the provisions of Article 161, threatened the Justice Maina as with corruption and with removal from office.
Yeah, this decision that you're talking about, Justice Maina's decision, where is it? You can point it out to the honorable senators. This decision, the judgment of Esther Maina.
Honorable Senators, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Senators, in our volume 2A, at page 62, at page 60, all the way to page 77, we have annexed the judgment of the Honorable Judge Esther Maina, where many of the companies that we have stated in the other allegations are listed here as companies that are conduits of corruption and money laundering.
Which companies there is in the judgment? Just maybe you can name a few of them so that we are more specific for the answer.
You have heard us talk about Crystal Kenya. Crystal Kenya is here.
You're saying Crystal Kenya is mentioned in the judgment?
Yes, this is on page 64.
Uh-huh.
And many, many others. So that with Wamonyoro Investments, you have heard us mention Wamonyoro Investment. Wamonyoro is mentioned here several times.
So what is the conclusion by the judge in that judgment, the decision that you are complaining about?
The judge said that in the upshot, the originality motion is granted in terms of prayers 2. This is page 77 of 123 in our volume 2A. That a declaration is hereby issued that the following funds are proceeds of crime and therefore liable for forfeiture to the state. And they are listed there: 165 million held in a certain account at Rafiki Finance Bank, 35 million in the name of Rigathi Gachagua, 773,000.
How much in total did the judge find to be money that the Rigathi Gachagua at the time had obtained through proceeds of corruption?
An order is hereby issued that the above funds be forfeited to the government of Kenya and transferred to the Assets Recovery Agency, and the amount is about 200 million shillings.
So he finds Mr. Rigathi Gachagua to have obtained 200 million shillings, is that correct?
To have been unable to explain
200 million
how he obtained 200 million shillings.
What did the judge do after that finding?
The judge directed that the amounts be forfeited to the government of Kenya through the Asset Recovery Agency, which is the body created under the Proceeds of Crime and Money Laundering Act to take care of money laundering.
Yeah, Mr. Ongoya, for the deputy president who was